event, I guess. And I've been seeing like familiar faces. So my name is Nguyen, I'm your host tonight. So I'm not going to speak tonight, but I'm going to introduce basically all the speakers. And for the first speaker, we have Dr. Wright and Jimmy from nChain. Please give them a round of
Hello! It is a hot day here in London, and we're going to cool off a little bit. So thanks so much for coming out to hear about Bitcoin Cash. I'm here with Craig to talk about, as you see up above, what's next for Bitcoin Cash. Like, can we get into it?
That must be because we don't have any magical birthday presents.
So, who here is a fan of Bitcoin Cash? Who here wants to see Bitcoin Cash win for the world? All right, awesome. Who here follows Craig Wright on Twitter? Drop thousands. Well, we do so much speaking, I decided to try a new format tonight with Craig that is in honor of his very, very prolific Twitter account. As we all know, he is a prolific tweeter. I cannot get the man off of his mobile device, even on holiday, as you'll probably see. He likes to tweet. He likes to tweet a tweet storm. And today, we're going to do a format which I call Tweets from Craig, in which I will do dramatic readings of Craig tweets, and we'll talk about what he meant by them. So we can explain to you what he means by some of his tweets.
And I don't even know which ones he's picking.
I have picked tweets to help guide you through what we think is going to be next in Bitcoin Cash and why it's important. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun and exciting, I think. And at the end, I want you all to be tweeting. Actually, as we're sitting here, please tweet with hashtag Dr. BCH, because that's Dr. BCH to all of us in this room and outside. All right, Craig, you ready? Tweets from Craig. So our first set of tweets are about things he's been tweeting, and these are from the last, weeks or so, about what the state of Bitcoin Cash is. We're about to hit its 1-year anniversary next week, August 1st. Who's excited for that? Birthday cake and candles.
I say it's wrong. I say it's actually year 10.
Okay, that's year 10. It's really the 10-year anniversary of Bitcoin in its original form. So, here's the first tweet from Professor Faustus. It's time for Bitcoin to grow up, to professionalize, to stop being a playground for losers who cannot get a job and think they are too cool for school, business, merchants, adoptions. Don't like it? Stiff. I don't care. Bitcoin is growing up. Craig, what? What are we doing there?
It is time that we make a real platform that is going to grow and be global. Many of you, well, at least some of you over there, aren't old enough to remember the internet in the 90s. I was at the launch of Alta Vista way back when, and a few other companies. I even remember having Alchemy come and visit me when I was in an ISP and working as a corporate services technical manager, and this young company who now runs half of the cache services for the internet gave a pitch to my boss, who's the Prime Minister of Australia, and he told me to piss off because he thought that was stupid. So that's fine. These things happen. But anyway, so way back then, people thought commercialization was terrible. The internet will die when we start commercializing. As soon as it goes out there and these big bad companies take over, it will die, it will just fall apart. All the things that made the internet great will stop. They're wrong. And they're wrong about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is money. And to be used as money, it needs to be everywhere. You can't have everyone having their own money. One of the problems with much of the cypherpunk sort of era, and it goes back to things I was involved with people like Tim May or whatever, and some of these are really smart guys. Tim May, I've met before back in the 90s, was a massive, he's a remarkably smart guy, but when it comes to economics, he's a duck. And I did like him, but the truth of the matter is, he had this idea that every shop and every business will make their own money. And And that's what we're seeing with Ethereum right now. And everyone can just print their own money to their heart's content, except for one little problem. No one cares. No one wants to use everyone else's money. You don't want to go through transaction costs every time you go somewhere else and try and figure out what the exchange rate in local corner store coin is, or dry cleaner coin is, and try and start bartering. I've got 6 dry cleaner coins. I need to get my loaf of bread. How about we trade? I mean, it just doesn't work. You want one money. So by professionalize, I mean, we start locking things in and make it merchant friendly. So,
and I think that's where we, a lot at nChain, differ from many other people in the Bitcoin ecosystem, not all, but many, because we're very much a believer in the enterprise, global level usage of Bitcoins, both cryptocurrency and blockchain. It needs to professionalize to do that. For all of you holding Bitcoin Cash, you want that to happen, because its value will skyrocket with enterprise level usage.
yeah, and I mean, we're actually still working on what we now call Terranode, and eventually we'll finish it. But a part of the problem there came because when I started this in 2013 and Blockstream Core took over, we started building, and the idea is to make a microservices scalable architecture. And in 2013 we had built a number of iterations, and then we had to take it back to the drawing board because Core changed the design. And we did that many times until 2015 when we basically sort of pivoted and changed how we're going to do things and whatever else. And the reality is we lost years redesigning the same software multiple times. And the reality is, if you're a business, you don't want to do that. You want to build an app and know that in 2 years it's going to still be there. You can upgrade it, you can add new features, you can make it usable, but you really do not want to put money into something that will change in 3 months' time or 6 months' time. No one's going to ever use your platform if that's the case.
All right, tweak number 2. Ready? BCH community needs to learn a hard lesson. We're in competition with other competing coins. Learn a little from them, in parentheses, and make BCH better. Don't try and coexist. Any coin that survives this will be the only coin that survives. Just work, in caps, and do make BCH succeed. What do you mean by that?
I'm not against people like Jihan or whatever else like people say I am, but I don't think we should be trying to cooperate. We're not going to survive by all being friendly little coins and everyone starting their own and having pedo-ban coin and whatever else. The reality is, if we want to do this, then we have to start thinking about a global world, start thinking how we actually make this something that people want. And that's going to be a commercial thing, a merchant thing, something where people in places like Africa can start trading, where we can open up markets globally. And when we can open global markets, allow people to trade freely, allow them to keep their money and actually engage freely anywhere, that's where we start with, not where we try to make 50 different versions of everything.
You know how I like to win. Absolutely. All right, next thing, and this is in response to people always talking about how Bitcoin's anti-establishment or anti-bank. You're right, here's the thing. Bitcoin was never about destroying the state. It disrupts, it does not destroy at all. Only fools seek this in reference to Kabi, your favorite guru. Tell us why you believe Bitcoin was never about destroying the state.
Okay, it's not anarchist. If anyone's ever read Kenneth Arrow, who is an economist I quite like, he's one of the few Nobel Prize winners that are still alive in economics that aren't completely clueless, like certain people at the world. Now, if you think about it, what he talks about is there's always a dichotomy between sort of the collective and the individual. And no, we don't want the state to be the collective, but you have to have something. Even markets run more effectively when there are companies. You can't have Intel unless you have employees. Like it or not, you can't have car manufacturers without employees. So this idea that it's all going to be everyone on their own, no, it doesn't. People don't choose that. And calling people sheeple and saying that you're a bunch of morons because you don't do it the way we say you should, if you think about that, how much freedom is that? Coercing people to do what we say, or you're wrong. I mean, that's rather hypocritical to say you should be free to choose, and then go, you're stupid unless you choose my way. So,
next tweet. This is about your vision of what Bitcoin ultimately is and will be. One world money, one global system, not controlled by government, fixed, competitive, capitalist. Not devs, not hacks, miners in a stable protocol that merchants can trust and that scales globally. That is what Bitcoin is.
exactly. Now, the internet, imagine if we kept changing it. Imagine if every second week there were new versions. One of the things that people love to say is the internet, it's a stupid protocol. It doesn't have all these bells and whistles and whatever else. And that's what makes it great, because people build on top of it. They don't need to worry about the protocol changing. Anyone remember Novell? Novell, I was a Novell certified engineer back in the 90s. And I remember binary and all this stuff in version 3. And then they changed it completely in version 4. And you had to totally redo your network, relearn, reset up. And they changed it again. And they flipped it again. And eventually they went out of business because people just went buggered this and moved over to IP. So even all these businesses who said Novell are much more secure, they're much faster, they're much everything else went bugger it. This is simple. We don't want to upgrade every 6 months. We just want something stable.
I'll drink to that. All right, so now let's talk about something you've been tweeting a lot about recently, in particular, which is the role of miners in the world of Bitcoin. I think most people in this room have an idea of what your position on that is, but let's take a look. This tweet, devs do not control Bitcoin, miners do. About time people learn this. Miners choose, commercial enterprises make Bitcoin, not a bunch of socialist groupthink touting fools. Miners choose. Why do miners choose, Dr. Wright?
Skin in the game. If you're a dev, your skin in the game is limited. This particularly came to be the case with Core. Most of the people like Peter Woolley don't own any Bitcoin. They own Zcoin, and they own bloody all these other things, and they sit there going, we support Bitcoin, yet you don't own it. You don't have any. They don't mine it, they don't do anything, they don't even hold it. They're sitting there telling other people to hold the Ponzi, and most of them don't have any. I mean, that's a really, really stupid. Why did you buy this thing that I won't touch? This is the whole point, it's skin in the game. You trust miners because it costs a lot to be a miner. I mean, we're now mining.
It costs a lot of money.
Yeah, we spend a lot of money. It costs now hundreds of millions of dollars to be a miner. There's a lot of investment to get everything going.
Why is that important in terms of trusting the miners with the direction of the network?
Because it's a long-term investment. Now, if you're going to be putting a lot of effort into finding locations, and we've had some of our guys going around to places like...
interesting locations across the world.
Yeah. In the middle of places where the hell is Stan and everything like this. Fairly much. Look, there's a yurt. And, look, Bitcoin miners and a yurt.
Well, I think your point always is like, if you're a miner, it costs so much investment to mine to get return that you're not going to make choices that are counterintuitive to the economics of the network, and that is what preserves the economic value of it. Right?
Yeah, if you're making a 5 or 10 year investment, then you're not going to think about flipping in 3 months, or suddenly going, let's change now because we can make a quick profit. So that's why miners matter so much, because they're going to actually make it stable.
Now, in this scope of miners, you like some miners more than others. So, okay, here we go. Got it. Thank you. So, some miners, all miners are not created equal in your mind. Because you love those people with Raspberry Pis, right? At home. So this tweet, the lesson for devs, as miners as capitalists, if you do not want to listen to the capitalists expect to be replaced. Miners choose not devs, and here's this. Home user nodes mean nothing. Only miners matter in Bitcoin votes, and this is the choice of software. What do you mean by home user nodes mean nothing?
I mean skin in the game. So I'm going to pick one. My son's at the back here. Hello, Ben.
Hello. Yo, Ben.
So, did you play with Raspberry Pis and Arduinos? What do they cost you?
£35.
Yeah, so that's a big investment, isn't it? Ben actually is still a miner, and it's very profitable for him because he doesn't pay the electricity. He was telling me the other day just how much money he made this month. I'm going, how much electricity? I don't know. It didn't cost me anything. Yes. So, interestingly enough, if you're running things on little tiny machines at home, you're not really investing in the network. And you flip very easily because there's no investment. It doesn't cost you anything. Although Ben was one of the first miners in the world. Ben was mining back in 2011 and caused lots of problems and everything else, but that's a different story for another day.
So, yes, so skin in the game is important in determining things, for example, like protocol changes, right? You think miners should have more of a say in that than the developer does.
Exactly. You don't want people just flip-flopping between things and trying anything to try and get a quick buck. This is not a short-term project. I know everyone seems to think, oh, Ethereum will beat us in 6 months. We are not talking 6 months. To make this a real global project is going to take us 15 or 20 years.
All right, so let's talk about that. Earlier we talked about the desire to get to a Bitcoin protocol, like the IP protocol, Internet Protocol, which is locked in and solid. And that's what I call achieving a... Okay, can't? Okay. I know.
Just wave or something.
I know, keep going.
Magic wave.
Okay, yeah, perfect. A stable mine Bitcoin protocol. So we're going to talk about what you mean by that. So let's go to our next slide, which is this. Bitcoin will be returned to the base system. All the old opcodes, not new shit, not fixes, no scale restrictions, no economic central planning, hashtag Bitcoin Cash. Don't like it? Find a shitcoin. What do you mean about being returned to the base system and all the old opcodes, and not new shit?
Okay, so the code wasn't ideal in 2009. There were lots of problems. There were lots of things needed fixing. It was an alpha. If anyone's actually read the original sort of disclaimer in the little 2009 thing, it said, this is alpha software, it is not to be used for financial uses. It actually had that as a disclaimer. Because, well, legal. Now, the reality is, what we want is something simple. We don't want every bell and whistle that you can think of, because you can build that on top of a protocol. You can build things like knowledge proofs. And that means instead of having like Ethereum, every single person everywhere in the world solving every little crypto kitty going for a crap in the cat box, then all you do is prove something on a group of machines and send the proof. That's it. You don't need to redo everything everywhere. Not everyone. Decentralized doesn't mean every single person on Earth has a copy of the whole internet on their phone. What we need to do is get it so that it is not controlled, it is not censored, it is open, it is hard, it's not going to change. That's a good thing. So what we want to make sure we do here is find a way of fixing this in place so that people can move forward and build solutions, not lightning things, because lightning is not a second layer. If anyone understands how the internet works, second layer is inside the protocol. IP, TCP, HTTP, inside the protocol. You have packets encapsulated. When you have something like Lightning, it's a second layer thing. It's like a proxy. And if you have a proxy, people are going, no one can switch. It's Bitcoin, it's whatever else. Of course you can switch. It's not a bad thing. Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core did not fork. They are separate software implementations. They're not one or the other. Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin and Segwit Core Coin is something else. They are different. Why is this important? Because Bitcoin forks every day. Every time you get an orphan block is a fork. That's what a fork is. Now, as a user, you don't give a shit. That's simple. Because you get into miner A or miner B, I don't care. When Roger made a bad packet in Bitcoin.com and he was 1 kilobyte over and everyone rejected him, guess what? No one lost the transaction. The other guys picked it up within seconds and Roger lost 12.5 grand and nobody cared. Well, some people did. Cool guys jumped up and down and had parties and probably spent $50,000 worth of alcohol celebrating the fact that Roger lost 12,500. But other than that, no one really cared. No one lost the transaction. No one was delayed. Nothing went wrong except for the fact that poor guys got to have a party.
Let's talk about a couple specific examples of things you don't want introduced as protocol changes. So this one, you tweeted the best way to destroy Bitcoin, add something like op-exec.
Yes.
Check solutions to problems that do not exist. People with ETH, Ethereum envy should just work on ETH. They might then finally understand why these asinine ideas are such shit. So first of all, let's talk about this ETH envy. Different kind of envy, right? What do you mean by Ethereum envy?
People think that Ethereum loops, so therefore it's good. Ethereum loops, therefore it's crud. It will never be global money, it will never scale, it will never be valuable. Right now, it has an artificial market cap because people are gambling on the future. It has no use. It has utility tokens. Utility tokens were first created on computers in the 60s.
So what's Ethereum envy? Developers wanting Bitcoin?
Wanting this. Wanting to create something that, because Ethereum can do all these things like CryptoKitty. Well, so can Bitcoin. The difference is every node in Bitcoin does not need to run it. And in fact, once we've started getting things like the opcodes that we have already and a few new ones and then the rest, anything that you can do on Ethereum you can do in Bitcoin and more. And we've already seen like Atlantis Labs have now got their betting oracle, and that's a trust-free betting oracle where you can actually bet on sports books and everything like that, and it's unstoppable, uncensorable. And
released in beta with the FIFA World Cup, but free coins because it's not a paid gaming app.
Could you send please?
I'm sorry?
I will say, the idea of these is so that you can actually run and execute other scripts. So you can call a script from a script. So basically, you can then directly link AdaScript hash. Now the problem with that is if...
He's explaining what op-exec is.
Yeah. If something changes in the execution, you can actually force reorgs in the chain that can be quite deep. So you can actually have validated areas that go back and then start getting rejected as people change what's being exec and no longer hold valid. So this has been part of the reason why Bitcoin is a predicate. Now that doesn't mean you can't do things. And later this year we'll be announcing some of what you can do, but I'm going to make sure that we own it in such a way that only Bitcoin Cash gets to do it. I don't care whether you like IP or not. That's just the way it's going to be, because I don't want to have 10,000 bloody shitcoins. I want to basically get people working on this, and that's why we're going to create and lock down our stuff. So.
All right, next tweet. So you've had some interesting tweets recently about proposals for pre-consensus in the world of Bitcoin. And you tweeted this: I strongly oppose this form of protocol change. The alteration of economic incentive breaks Bitcoin. Dash is not close to Bitcoin and merchants choose. Zero conf can be selected by a minor query. Pre-consensus by protocol change reduces security. All right, we want to explain to the audience what this whole debate is over pre-consensus, and why you strongly oppose this whole
Orphans and forks are not bad. We have to stop having that as a mantra. Core has been trying to teach us that for a long time. Orphans are not bad. Now, the idea here is we can reduce orphans. So what? That's a minor problem. Us miners lose money. But here's a little secret for you. And the DIA has changed this, but eventually when we get Bitcoin to where it's meant to be again and all the shitcoins are dead, this will change. Every 2 weeks, every 2016 blocks, if you have 10 orphans, you have 2016 blocks on average. If you have 50 orphans, you have 2016 blocks. If you have no orphans, you have 2016 blocks. Here's the thing. The way it works is that the protocol adjusts. So if a miner basically goes out there and does something and gets orphaned, if he competes, does a larger thing that no one takes, one that takes a long time to validate in the majority of other miners, whatever else, then that's a risk for the miner. They're meant to risk. It is competition. We don't want miners sitting there all agreeing, this is going to be my block. Because once you actually start doing that, then you force people into a decision. If you get people in a room and you make them say what they're going to do, anyone know the difference between the madness and the wisdom of crowds? What does the wisdom of crowds require? Anyone? Yes? Yes, and how do you get that? The difference is knowledge. Wisdom of crowds comes from people who don't know. If you get a group of us here, and we want to all guess how much Jimmy weighs, we'll probably get a fairly good estimate. When all of us choose without querying others. When we start actually going up, what do you think Jimmy weighs? And we start actually interacting, that's when we get the wrong answer. Independence is critical. To actually have these things work, you can't have everyone talk about what they might do in this case, because then they change their behaviour. Game theoretically, you start interacting, you alter the game.
Right, fascinating. I'll wait to hear all of your predictions about my weight. What? 73 kilos.
See, but now you called it out.
American, I don't know, kilograms, you're not pounds. No. Okay. So, a lot of people are waiting for Bitcoin Cash to continue its scaling journey, right? We believe in Bitcoin Cash because it's a power to do massive on-chain scaling. You've sent some tweets about that recently. A lot of that is about speed of technology. So we tweeted an article from Extreme Tech about researchers in the Netherlands and the US smashing the world speed record for a fiber network and pushing 255 terabits per second. And you tweeted, for those who think network cannot scale, this is 4 years old. And you also tweeted a terabyte block, which we believe is possible in Bitcoin Cash, would be 31 milliseconds plus latency for distance.
Yes.
So, explain why this is relevant to the future of Bitcoin Cash.
As we're going to scale, we're going to have to push lots of data around different places. And we're going to have to push it out to many other miners that have lots of connectivity. Now, if we have fiber connections that are expensive, yes, but not as expensive as running up thousands of miners. If you're considering the cost of buying 10,000 S9s or 100,000 S9s, then your cost is minimal with electricity and everything else compared to running a few fiber lines. And you're going to want backup, and you're going to have a few of these. And if you want to put one of these in, you can actually pump the entire internet data as it is today through that line. So terabyte is not going to be an issue. That means the entire world's population can start using Bitcoin. We can scale it bigger than not only Visa or MasterCard, but Visa, MasterCard, banks, cash, stock markets, everything.
Right now, compare that to what's happening on Ethereum. You tweeted out this lovely article, which I'm sure you would love to talk about today, about Ethereum transaction fees increased by 7,000% due to network clog. And you tweeted why Bitcoin Cash wins, tested to 380 gigabyte, building to 1 terabyte, et cetera, et cetera. Now tell us why only one works and it's not Ethereum or EOS.
Okay, so Ethereum has this idea that everyone needs to run everything. Why? Do you want to go out there and validate someone's CryptoKitty having a shit in the cash box?
Who here wants to validate someone's CryptoKitty having a shit in a cat box?
There you go. So, the next problem is, we'll solve it with sharding. My general question is then, so you're talking about vertical or horizontal sharding, and what dimensionality? People go, no, sharding. So, I'm sorry, but as soon as you do that, you start actually breaking up your fees into parts of the operation. And then you have to actually start thinking, well, if my CryptoKitty moves this way, I will pay this much gas. If he moves that way, I'll pay that much gas. Oh no, he wanted to actually breathe, he's dying. So it becomes unsolvable very quickly. You can't actually do it this way. You can't make things more and more complex. Simple is good. I know many developers think, oh, we can make it better. We can make it faster. We can just add more and more stuff to it and make it some boondoggle project that'll keep going for the next 100 years. But simple's good. Simple is the hardest thing most developers can do. Getting it working, getting it fast and elegant, and leaving it alone is something people find hard. But it works. It scales.
Indeed. So now let's talk about what Bitcoin Core is trying to do, and Blockstream, which is one of your favorite topics, talking about the Lightning Network. And you tweeted this picture of your customs form. I believe this is coming back from Greek holiday.
Yeah.
Yes. Saying, Lightning is a promissory note. Bitcoin is an excluded security. Fill in your form correctly, and you check that you weren't carrying any securities into the country. So explain this for people, because they may not understand. Why is Lightning Network and what it does the creation of a promissory note?
So, to be a negotiable instrument and to actually be something that is an excluded security and not a promissory note or whatever else, and to be something you're not carrying on you and all the rest, as Bitcoin is, you have to have delivery. Delivery doesn't mean like Lightning where you have something sent to a channel. It means full closure. Under the law, for Lightning to be settled, like a check when you take it in there, isn't when you take the check into the person and hand it to them. It's when that person takes it to the bank gets the other bank to send the money to them, and it then clears in your account. Lightning's the same. Under law, when Lightning channels close, not when you've been negotiating, not when it's open for 6 months, when you close your channel, when you have your Bitcoin and you can walk off into the sunset, then and only then do you have settlement. If you don't have that, then it is an open promissory note.
It's a promise to pay.
It is a promise to pay. And it doesn't matter about, oh, we can punish people or whatever else. You can do that with checks too. So the issue here is people don't understand the law. Now, they can argue with me all day, but right at the moment I'm doing a Doctor of Law here in Britain.
Because you don't have enough degrees.
Because I don't have enough degrees. Where I'm studying international securities law. So I have some knowledge of this area. And
the risk it creates is creating an unregistered security, right?
Exactly. This is what people don't, I mean, we were talking to some guys when we were overseas the other day, and they're going, oh, there's no dividends, so it's not a security. I'm sorry, dividends have nothing to do with security. And the Howey test doesn't actually say whether it's a security or not. It says if it is in the Howey test, it is definitively a security. If it doesn't pass the Howey test, it can be a security.
By Howey test, he's referring to a test from a case of the U.S. Supreme Court years ago, which articulated how you might define what a security is under U.S. securities law, but courts of many other countries, such as Canada and other Western countries, adopted for their litmus test of what qualifies as security.
So if you have a set payment, you're an included, not excluded, regulated security. If you haven't been regulated, you're breaching the law. So this is why I say things about Monero and whatever else. Because if you have master nodes and they have a set what they're going to earn, then they are a security. They are a required to be registered under law security. And worse than that, people don't get this one. They think, oh, we're a bunch of guys that aren't in a company. Companies were one of the greatest freedoms that people ever got in human history. We won't get that. Before that, we had common law partnerships. In a common law partnership, everyone is liable. And common law partnerships still hold in the Western world. So if you're running one of these things and you're not a company and don't have contracts and whatever else, it means as a debt or a GitHub thing, you are in a common law partnership. Which means if you do something wrong, everyone is responsible. And if they can't find you, they can go after every other dev until they get whatever they want. People don't seem to get this. The law has a longer reach than people like to get. That's why we have companies. Limited liability company matters because it gives us limited liability.
Take the personal assets, right?
Exactly.
Things outside of what you do in connection with them. All right, let's now get to a very hot topic in the Bitcoin Cash world. Everyone's waiting for the arrival of token solutions and capabilities on Bitcoin Cash. Everybody can hear it every day. Tokens, when are they coming? So let's hear some tweets about that, including first this cautionary tweet about how we shouldn't rush. You tweeted, rushing to create something, anything as a token, rather than a well-constructed solution is waste. It's like digging a hole and filling it again. It leads nowhere. It gains nothing but failure. A well-planned system will wipe all the crud away. Waste your time, it gains nothing. Why are you urging some time caution on token solutions?
Although Keynes may have said that's a great way of keeping people employed, with his idea that you just fill bottles of money with, fill bottles with money and bury them randomly so that people can go off and dig them up, which was actually a 1933 proposal, because then people would be employed doing things. Better than airdrops. They didn't have helicopters back then. Well, we have this scenario that if you just go off and invent stuff that is going to be shut down and be a problem, we're going to be in a bigger problem. Everyone's running out there going, we need to have book a coin or whatever else. The reality is we don't. The SEC has a long reach. If they detect fraud, they have 20 years to go back from the last event. They have a limitation from the last event. People think, oh, we've got away with this. Many people haven't. The US reach is anywhere that the US dollar has ever been touched. If your whatever excludes Americans but has taken a US dollar deposit, you are under US law. There was a Korean bank a little while ago, actually last year, had its assets frozen. Why? Because the American government decided that the bank in Korea, who didn't have any operations in America, had breached American law and seized assets. It is the way the world works. We do not want to go up and find a big gorilla over there and kick him in the nuts and make him actually want to shut us down. We want to build something that in 20 years will be here and people will be used. We want real securities that can be registered. We want shares that actually give you voting rights. Shares that pay dividends. Shares that allow you to form an online company, a proper distributed corporation. Not this idea of a utility corporation that gives you no voting rights, that has no way of getting your money back, and is basically throwing your money into a hole and giving it away.
So at nChain, we've been seeing proposals from groups around the world working on token solutions. And to give you excitement, I do predict that the first Bitcoin Cash token solutions will emerge publicly, certainly before end of the year, if not just sooner. Stay tuned. Ooh, you're excited. You're in the front row, right? Absolutely.
As an example, at Token 2049, when I was talking there was a guy presenting saying how great ICOs are. Without ICOs, he would never have raised $50 million. And after what he was developing and what he's got, he said, I'm not quite sure yet. My first idea was crap, but now that I've got money, I can invent something. And I said to him, so what are you doing? Well, nothing yet. I haven't had an idea. But he's got $50 million.
Now, you propose some proposals that are designed, as some people say, to lead to tokenization. One is the proposal for op groups. Led to a lot of online chatter, for those of you who follow the online Twitter sphere and Reddit sphere. You tweeted, op group is a dead end, but it's never needed. There are more ways to tokenize than I can state. Not needed makes cash a second-class citizen to tokens, alters Bitcoin incentives radically. So explain to the audience who might not understand what op group does, that proposal, and why you think it's bad, a dead end, and would make cash a second-class citizen to tokens.
Because if you color the base protocol and you allow cash to be equal with every other token, you end up with problems where miners can be incentivized to mine for that token, with a header of that token. And right now we're going, oh, but the fees are paid in Bitcoin. But in 2 years, half that fee. And in 6 years, half that fee. And in a few years' time from now, we're going to have a scenario, we have to think not 2 years, but 10, 20, etc. when we're talking about money. This is what I'm saying about stabilizing the protocol. And we can't just look back and forwards to these things. So in 10 years, when the miner reward is basically nothing, and it's all fees, you can be paid miner fees directly in these tokens. That now incentivizes you not to care about cash. You care about US dollar coin, and crypto shitty coin, and whatever else. Someone can pay you off as a miner easily. Right now, you have to mine Bitcoin. You get your fees in Bitcoin. If you're doing an op return type token, you get paid in Bitcoin. If you're doing a fiat coin, you get paid in Bitcoin. If someone creates a US dollar token that is run by a central bank, the central bank still needs to pay Bitcoin. The miners get paid in Bitcoin, which means the miners care about Bitcoin and everyone starts using it. Even to use US dollar on central bank, you have to hold Bitcoin. That matters.
All right, now let's get to the next section, some tweets about what's going on to build this ecosystem of Bitcoin Cash, ventures, products, and applications. Okay, because everyone's excited. They want to see more happening. And I can tell you, since I run our venture arm as well, where we invest in Bitcoin Cash ventures, that we're seeing a huge rise in projects, companies, and entrepreneurs out there coming up with Bitcoin Cash products and applications. They're not public yet, they're still in development, but I predict we can see a lot more over the next year. Particularly look for 2019 as the year of many new Bitcoin Cash applications emerging. So look forward to that.
Unfortunately, I'm not wearing black, and we could do the whole Star Wars and I could walk in again because we've just invested in a few more companies that I won't mention the names.
Yeah, they'll prematurely announce. Yeah. But yes, wait for some more announcements. So, you tweeted this. This is why simple wallets and systems matter. Ones such as SetB Wallet and Handcash app, point-of-sale systems and merchant apps, threshold systems as we are building with SPI bits and secure exchanges and much more. BCH is about to get interesting. Tell us what you mean by what it's about to get interesting in terms of all of these things.
So, we've invested in Handcash and
who here has tried Handcash, by the way? Cool. You like it?
yeah.
You're supposed to say yes right
now. Okay, so it's got to be simple. So SetB is still in development play mode and on test end, not a real one. And basically it's early days, and they'll be out this year, and they'll be be starting to go live. And this is important. It has to be something, not an ugly UI like Bitcoin's always had, not the idea of all these little bits and pieces that my grandma don't really care about. I want to pay money, and I want to pay someone simply. I want to tap, I want to get a QR code, I want to do something and know that my payment's there. That's it.
Especially at the point of sale.
Exactly. Most people don't give a rat's at all about all this complex stuff. They don't want to know how it works behind the scenes. They just want to make a payment. And devs don't think about that quite often. They don't think it needs to be easy and simple. And one of the hardest things, and I'm the first to admit, I've never done a UI that's ever been anywhere near good. I remember we had an audit from the tax office in Australia, and they were looking at like a banking platform that we put together. And the first thing I walked in and went, that is the ugliest thing. And I went, but the back end works, and none of the big companies got this going, and they went, but it's ugly.
So this is the message we have for a lot of you who are in this room and those who might watch this video who want to develop products. You tweet this in response to someone asking you, thank you very much, I hear you loud and clear, what else can I do, please? And you responded, make Bitcoin ready to use, build apps, wallets, etc.
Yeah.
Why do we need people doing that?
This is the internet circa 1995, 96. Back then, there was nothing. There were a few search engines that were rather crappy. There were a couple things that were hard to use. I actually loved Alt Vista because I could type in all the logical strings and get the page I wanted minus all the crap. But no one else wanted to actually learn how to do logic coding to actually bring up a web page. And strangely enough, Google that let you do a simple search won. So that's the same lesson for everyone here. Nice simple apps, nice easy interface wins.
And we want you to be out building and creating, and you've got great ideas for projects and ventures.
If you want to be a dev,
yeah, you want to be on specific Bitcoin Cash,
stop trying to change the base protocol. Make something new. Make something cool. Make something that everyone in the world wants to run. That matters.
And knock on our door, and maybe we can invest in it. We'd be happy to find and support more great projects. So get developing. So now we're going to talk about some messages you've sent on Twitter about how BCH is for everyone. Everyone loves the hashtag BCH for everyone. And you tweeted this: Bitcoin makes the local global, not as digital gold as a settlement system. The transaction flow is impeded and it fails as cash, allowing access to services that people could not obtain before and opening the world to more. Why do you mean Bitcoin makes the local global?
Okay, so I've known some of the EOS guys for ages, and not all of them are scammers. Some of the guys like Ian Freeby and whatever else, great guys, they really care. I'll put that one down first. Unfortunately, they get in with a whole lot of idiots all the time because they think caring is the only goal.
Caring is not always sharing.
Okay. The reality here is they keep telling me, in Africa we save people because we've got shamans. We've got other little saving groups. And I go, fuck you, I don't care. Because one little thing, little saving groups don't allow you to interact globally. They don't allow you to go out there and sell things. I had this argument in Rwanda because people were going, we can sell coffee next door to Uganda. Who gives a shit? No one in Uganda who grows coffee wants to buy coffee from Rwanda. They will buy it in America. If you can have sustainable coffee in Rwanda, people over in America will buy it. That matters. And here's the thing, no one gave a shit about your Rwandan dollar. When we were walking around markets, people would take US dollars over Rwandan money. So if no one wants your local piece of crap currency, except that you can have a global one that you can use everywhere. That's a good thing. It means borders disappear. When you can sell everywhere, wanting to sound socialist or anything like that, finding other people and funding them, finding other people who will do. And that matters because, well, we have a need in this world for more people to engage. Right now, it is not the West extracting resources from Africa or South America that is the problem. It is the fact that they don't trade. Everyone sits there going, we steal from the Africans. We don't fucking steal from the Africans. The Africans don't trade. Global trade in Africa is something like 1% of the West. They just don't have anything to trade. So what we need to do is give them a way of trading. Give them a way of getting online. Stop telling them that by running a freaking solar panel on their house, suddenly they're going to be equal with the West. That they don't need to run up a power plant. That they don't need to do these other things. One of the arguments I had with the minister in Rwanda was this bullshit about running solar power plants that Tesla and everything want to do to sell freaking batteries, which annoys the crap out of me. It makes them sound good. Because quite frankly, what happens is they take stuff out of the ground, they send it to China, and they buy it back. Right now, if they burnt a little bit of coal, they could actually have an economy 10 times as big. Why is it okay for us to do this here in the West, to run up power plants and burn coal and go, it's not good for them? Fuck that. They have a right too. And if we have enough money, enough people working, we will find solutions. We already have them now. Scrubbers cost money. We don't do it because it costs money. But in the future, we will. We solve problems. We don't sit there and go, you can't do it because, well, it's okay for us, but not you. And I get indignant with that. I find it hypocritical.
So you're indignant at the unfairness.
Exactly. That's unfair.
That people may not know. I'm going to actually put you on the spot a little bit. You tweet about it. You just talked about it. You said thanks to EBCH and a few others who asked for proposals. I'll be funding all of them. I'll get back to you soon. But in theory, I'm still in vacation mode. These together will be the first 4,000 to be funded to complete education, food, and schooling. I don't give a shit if you like me. I'm still going to end up educating 20 million plus people. Have a nice day. Mine is fucking great. Oh, to those activists who sent color for changing and doing little losers. So you're funding people for schooling and food and
education matters. Like it or not, that's where things don't get done at the moment. So there are people on the ground who will get people a basic education, who will teach them how to read, write, maybe code, do some math, things like that. And yes, there are lots of people here in Britain too that need, but not as much. So basically, my goal, which won't happen overnight, and will take me a long time to formulate how it happens, is I want to educate 20 million people in Africa. And hopefully they'll stay in Africa and educate more. Or at least some of them will anyway.
All right, we're going to finish with this last tweet, which is about resilience. You tweeted this recently. I'm proud to have made my first 20 million before I was 30. I'm happy I lost everything and needed to start again. Without failure, you cannot become resilient enough to truly succeed.
I agree with that one, and I said it and I'll stick with it. I did some stupid things when I was in my 20s. It was the internet.com boom, and I put everything into things, and I let other people run my business without knowing what the hell was happening in many areas, and ran around doing stuff, and got screwed by a 5% investor, and a whole lot of normal little problems that happen in the internet world. And yeah, I learned from it. And because of that, I ended up doing my first law degree. And then I got involved with gaming law and made a whole lot of money. And then the Americans shut down international payments. And around 2005, 2006, I ended up with a whole lot of clients who suddenly disappeared and had to move on and do things again. And then
Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin Core sort of derail things, and now you're there with Bitcoin Cash.
So we keep trying until we succeed. And I won't say I've succeeded yet. Some people will say I have. Because
when will you think you've succeeded in your life mission?
I will have succeeded when I see on a daily basis 5 billion people using Bitcoin Cash. Every day.
On that note, we'll close with me saying that to all of you in this room and all of you out there who are big believers and interested in Bitcoin Cash, resilience is necessary. Time is of the essence. We're all working really hard. We ask you all to be both inspired and resilient in all the things you're doing to really help make Bitcoin Cash accessible. We can't wait to see more of your products, ventures, applications, and ideas. And we encourage all of you out there to help make Bitcoin Cash a win. Thanks very much.
Don't ever be afraid of what people say. I mean, in the past, I've shied away for a while and tried to stay out of the spotlight and all the rest. And I'll take a tweet from Elon Musk, who had a little bit of a hissy fit the other day with a whole pile of socialists attacked him and told him how stupid he was and how he's hoarding money and all this stuff. And he responded by going, mate, employ 50,000 people directly, indirectly 250,000, 500,000 of their families and whatever else rely on me. What the fuck are you doing?
With that, we actually have time for a few questions. For about 5 minutes for questions. Anyone have questions of Dr. Wright? Greg, any questions? Yes, man, standing up with a question.
When I get in,
Microphone, please.
when I get in, I need to pay cash or credit card to get into this
event.
Yes. And I want to ask, when would be the time if you want Bitcoin as a coin, as a currency? When would be the time the price would be 0.01 Bitcoin? No, 4.5 pounds.
Got it. I think the question is that when will there come a time where prices are expressed in Bitcoin as opposed to fiat currency like it costs 4 British pounds and $5 US?
Not soon enough, but it's going to take a long time because people don't change quickly. Now, there are a lot of millennials and others here that will slowly understand and start using and start implementing payment systems online. But my grandmother is going to always think in dollars. Well, not always, not many more years, but my mother even will. And unfortunately, it's going to be generational shift before we really start changing. But over time, the more we see it, the more we use it, the more we get used to it. So I still say dollars, even though I'm in Britain and it's pounds here, because you get used to things.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And last thing, I'm from the TLG Bitcoin Embassy, and everybody there really help you in your work. And as Fahad said, for me to send you personally, to tell you that you're a great man, you're doing a great job. And as we say in Hebrew, Namshich La'avos at Bitcoin Cash B'Bifnim.
Come take a selfie. All right. Here, come take a selfie. Girl, come up here. Someone take a selfie for the man. All right. Welcome. Yeah. We'll get another question while selfie is happening.
I see that gentleman over there.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
So here's a question for you. Do you know what a shekel is?
Shekel?
Yes.
Yes.
What is it?
Shekel is from the Bible.
I know, it's from the Bible. What is it?
What's a shekel? We have one more audience question.
Because I'm understand Hebrew in the audience.
Right, let's take this with one more audience question. All right, yes, sir.
Hey, thanks so much for coming, by the way. Really good talk. It's great for communities of these sort of events. Slightly controversial, I hope nobody is applied for that. Back to the original points of making Bitcoin Cash absolutely mainstream. We have to really think about how we're talking to people that quite understand it, as well as the business room. In the spirit of speaking to 20 million Africans and 5 million people around the world, I'd like to ask you personally, is there an element around your tone of voice that you think can be changed to speak to a community that may not quite understand swearing or controversial aspect of how you're coming across?
Yes, that's why we've got Jimmy.
You have to be realistic in the sense that you're an influential voice in the community. People will listen to you, and people will listen to you without quite even knowing what we're actually all doing and why we're doing this. I suppose the question is there an element of how we present ourselves to the wider world, or is having the opportunity for us to actually get it out?
I'm going to answer that. We, and I in particular, recognize that Craig is who he is. We're not going to change Craig. But let me finish. But Craig, like anyone, is not the right voice for every audience.
Name one nice person who changed the world.
Should we expect him to be?
Agree. We have a short-term goal.
And there are other people with voices that will reach the audiences that need to be reached. Yeah. And you want to One last question.
It was regarding like big novice here, no idea. We're very pro mining, and it seems like very pro barriers to entry. So that would mean you're very, you want to have the voice and control in the community.
I don't want to have the voice. We're starting mining, and we're doing that because, well, everyone's been in mining listening to devs and not showing a set of balls. So I'm going to stand up and make sure that miners understand their position. Not because I wanted to mine. I could have been mining years ago. I stopped mining. I wanted to give other people a choice. But they sat there listening to people who were telling them crap. So I'm going to start teaching them by doing. The only way I really know to do. And they'll compete with me. And I won't control mining. I'll have a section. We'll probably build to 8 to 10%, and we'll stay there. And I'll build a pool. I've been having Chinese guys asking me to do it, so we will. Not just so we can get people to understand their role. And right now, you know how many miners there are in China? There's a little over 100,000 people. And some of them have an economic advantage because some of them maybe have 100 S9s at home and they get their power for free because they run lines illegally. But hey, we'll compete with that too. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Right,
We'll be here for the rest of the evening, so we will have many opportunities to talk to Craig. Thank you.
Please give them a round of applause.
Shekel, what people don't realise is it's a measurement of grain. People don't actually understand. It was a measurement of grain. People would take their money in, and one of the first versions of money was at the end of the harvest in the storage areas that were run in the different areas of the temple or whatever else. You would get a marker saying, you have now this many shekels of grain. It's like saying, I've got half a ton of grain. And you would then not spend your grain as barter, you would have your shekels. And you could say, I have half a ton of grain, I will sell you 5 kilos. That's what a shekel was. So money didn't start the way some of the Mixalos and whatever else are talking about. It started as credit notes against banking. And this is right back before paper, right back there's your clay tablets, right back papyrus, etc. Early versions were tally sticks and things like this, where people would actually write it down in break sticks and put one side here and one side there. And here in England, they had lots of those until someone accidentally caught them on fire and burnt down Parliament a few hundred years ago.
All right, that's what a shekel is. Thank you all.